Good morning.
Good morning, NBC, yes.
NBC calling, and I am not going to answer that, I don't think. I think I have to answer it, Jim.
Okay, I'm pausing.
Hello? Hello? Oh, shoot. Well, the reason I was answering...
Well, the camera was running anyway, so that's right. So.
Hey, what can I tell you? I had a false start. My phone rang, and that was my own fault. I shouldn't have allowed that to happen. I should have turned it off. But it's the inconvenience of the modern age, which is mostly convenience. But cell phone is very convenient when you're running around. And I'm the guy who said I would never buy a cell phone. You know. Then I ended up pastor of 3 parishes. And people would call the one parish and they'd say, oh no, he's gone to the second parish, and they'd call that, no, he's to the third, and the third, no, he's gone back to the, you know. Anyway, so I'm Father Michael Hogan, in case you didn't know that, flubbing up the beginning of this program. And I'm pastor of St. Joseph's Church in downtown, beautiful, renovated Schenectady, New York. A whole bunch of new buildings, new facades.
New blossoms.
New blossoms, yes, wonderful. Come down to Schenectady. And we're right kitty corner from the MVP building, and right down the street, 2 houses down from the county courthouse. And we celebrate Mass 12:15 every day, Monday through Friday. And we precede that by the rosary around noon and follow that by confessions around 12:35, 12:40. So love to have you come. The church is always open Monday through Friday from about 8:30 to 5:30. Please feel free to come in. You don't have to be Catholic. You can just come in and sit down in a nice meditative space. Or if you're Catholic, you can come in and light a candle, visit the Blessed Sacrament, or put a prayer petition in the canister in front of the statue of St. Jude. And we do a novena to St. Jude on Tuesday evenings at 6:30. A novena to St. Jude. And St. Jude is the patron of hopeless cases. So please feel free to come to that novena. Please feel free to put your petition in the canister in front of the statue of St. Jude, and that will be given to our prayer line. It is a very powerful prayer line. We also celebrate Mass on Saturday at 4:30 and Sunday at 8 and 10:15. And bringing up again the fact that we have lots and lots and lots and lots of parking right behind the church. You come down Lafayette, take a left up. Anyway, you come in from behind the church on that street that's parallel to State Street. You come in behind the church, and there's a huge parking lot. So parking is not a problem at St. Joseph's Church. Did I? What? He's laughing.
I'm laughing because when you said huge parking lot, it sounded like a Fusillo commercial.
Oh yeah, a commercial. Huge. Yeah, it is. Anyway. So I thought I'd talk a little bit today, and I'm not sure why, so this may be part of it, the butterfly effect. Now I asked Jim before this program if he knew about the butterfly, and he said no. I was terribly surprised because Jim is an encyclopedia of everything. So I decided, okay, let's talk about the butterfly effect. Now the butterfly effect comes from this, it's not a myth, it's not even a myth, what would you call it, a tale. And it scientifically probably is not true, but it tells you what it's about. Namely, a butterfly is flying over Beijing in China, and its wings set up a little breeze. And as that breeze moves away from Beijing, it gathers other breezes and so on. And eventually it becomes a huge storm slamming into Oregon. The purpose of the story is to illustrate that a minor, relatively unimportant thing can escalate into catastrophe. An example, you or I always come out of our house at 8:30 promptly. You know, we're a creature of habit. Get in the car, take off, go to work. This one day, we get in the car at 8:31. Okay, no big deal. No big deal. We pull out and are slammed by another car. Had we kept our routine, we would have missed that car by a whole minute. But because we were 1 minute late in getting to the car, in getting moving, catastrophe develops.
Not even get hit by a butterfly, no?
Not by a butterfly, by a car or a bus, even worse. There are many things that happen in life that begin very, very small, something very small. Gossip is sometimes a butterfly effect.
Human beings start out small.
They do, and they get catastrophically big, yes. I might say Jim has a very big mouth, you know? Not meaning he talks a lot, but he actually has a big mouth, you know, covers a big, and so that suddenly people are talking about Jim's big mouth, then that escalates into Jim spreads lies and stories about other people, and then Jim spreads stories about such and such a people, and those such and such a people become very angry, and eventually they sue him. That's the butterfly effect.
And I get 15 minutes of fame on TV.
That's right, you do. That's all you get. Then you get 2 years in jail. The butterfly effect is the very small things that we can easily overlook. My philosophy in driving a car, for instance, is that there is one person out there whose only purpose in life is to get you when you're driving a car. Now, it could be a pedestrian walking in front of you, could be a bus, could be a motorcycle, could be a bicycle. Somebody is out there who's only, they're just lurking. They are waiting.
This is defensive driving technique?
That's right. That's right. And I was thinking of this in the butterfly effect and so on the other day. Yesterday, I'm driving along, and this car, you know how getting on the throughway, all right? And how you kind of ease in. It has a, what do you call those things? And ease into the, you know, on the throughway.
I think they're called ramps.
Ramps, okay.
Well, yeah, ramp.
Yeah, so I'm
ramp to get into the, ramp.
Onto the highway. So I'm going up the ramp, and I look in my rearview mirror, and this car is coming at me more rapidly than I thought they should. In the meantime, the ramp is running out. You know, it's one of those ramps where you come together.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bee in the room and we're all watching it. He decided that he was going to get ahead of me. And he got ahead of me by that much, I think. And I thought, oh, but I was watching him. And as he came up beside me in order to get by me, I dropped back. I put on my brake carefully, not jammed it on, but I dropped back to give him plenty of room to go. Now, there are people involved in road rage, Jim, who of course would have done the opposite, you know, would have speeded up so the guy ended up going off the road. And had they done that, they could have been guilty of negligent homicide or something, or vehicular homicide. And the issue, and then also yesterday, I'm driving down Central Avenue, and I glance sort of to my right, and this car up ahead is parked. But there was something about the car that I noticed, all right? So I'm coming up to and sure enough, this car pulls right in front of me. If I had not been looking, he would have, my front fender would have crashed right into him. So there are all these things, these little things that happen that can quickly escalate into catastrophe. The you know, you forget your keys, you're looking for your keys, you can't find your keys. Finally, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you find your keys. You get to work, you missed the call that you had been waiting for that sealed the deal. You call them and they say, no, you weren't there, we sealed the deal with somebody else, you just lost $500,000. Your boss says to you, you lost this account, you're fired. Why? For 5 minutes looking for the keys. That's the butterfly effect. And it happens. It happens to us. And we sometimes don't notice the small thing that can lead really to catastrophe.
Random acts.
Random acts and not
of chance.
Of chance, yes. Which reminds me, of course, of Carl Jung, the great psychiatrist's formulation of synchronicity. And that is randomness with meaning, you know. Jung said there were two forces in the universe. One is cause and effect. The other is synchronicity. And that is disparate events coming together to make a meaningful something. But we already talked about that in the previous program. And the reason I know it, somebody sent me a note recently who said, blah, 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 and that sounds pretty like synchronicity as you talked about it on your program to me. So I know we talked about it. The small events we sometimes overlook, and we don't really realize that the unkind word, the ignoring somebody's question, the child's look on the face that is asking us for love or attention, a homeless person walking down the street and we don't notice them. The small things really become very important in life. And
well, that's true with a kind word, too.
A kind word, yeah.
And have unforeseen results.
Well, very unforeseen results. I've done things in my life, and I remember there was this, well, I didn't remember, but this young man, maybe 30 years old, died. And his mother called me, and I was very shocked to hear it, and told me that I had saved their family. I said, really? Well, apparently I had had an interview with a kid who at that point in his life as a high school kid was going into drugs and alcohol, everything, and tearing the family apart. I had an interview with him a couple of times and then with his mother and him. And the kid totally straightened out, you know, and so the family has always brought that up in their family gatherings, you know, Father Hogan, you know. Well, I knew nothing about that. And it took me, maybe 2 hours of my life. And yet it changed their whole lives. I never knew about that. Never knew anything about it. The kind word that Jim says changes a person's attitude as they go home and start facing a crisis. They enter the house with an elevated feeling so that when they crash, they have a longer way to go. You know, they don't immediately react badly. It's the small things that are the most important. I remember I was with a pastor who was very mean to me, certainly, and to a lot of people. But anyway, he was very mean, and when he had